Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back to the Order. I'm Celtic Templar, and welcome back to another History and Firearms video. And today, y'all, we are actually going to be getting into, well, kind of one of my favorite shotguns out there. And that is none other than the infamous Saiga 12. Now, automatically this is a really cool shotgun. At first, I thought this was child youth stock, but upon looking further information, it's not. This is actually somewhat the actual type of stock was. Now, although this is a Chinese knockoff variation of the Russian shotgun, but it still technically counts as a Soviet-style shotgun. Don't worry, y'all. This thing isn't loaded. This is one of the empty mags, so yeah. Now, I said in my last video on that we were going to be having this shotgun out and such, that we had this out with against the said knockoff Benelli. Here's the thing. That's actually what we did. We actually did a test run, and apparently this one won against the knockoff Benelli. Now, automatically people see this shotgun, they automatically go, oh, this is such a kid's gun. It may look like that, but it's not. And apparently, this weird style stock that it came with, this is actually the actual stock it came with. I first thought, oh, it's kids type of stock, but apparently my boys at Elbridge said, no, this is actually the actual stock they used. Now, the Chinese version doesn't have the said back spring plate like it's supposed to, but that's actually how it is. However, what this one has, what the original Saiga doesn't, is this. That is actually probably the coolest thing about this. It actually has I can easily put my index finger on the safety system like so, and just do that. Rather than me having to go all the way up and do this. But still, that's actually pretty cool. Now, I found out the problem with reloading this thing is, one, the magazines are kind of problematic. And this is actually because of the fact, now, don't worry, y'all, this is a shotgun shell on it, but don't worry, I won't be putting my finger on the trigger. Now, what I've actually learned about this is apparently, while you have to load this thing, many people actually, what they do is they try and push the shell in, but the problem is that's actually what damages the shell sometimes. I've actually realized you don't do it like that. You do it like what they call the Iraqi reload. Meaning, you rack back the system, put in the magazine, and then, well, pretty much. That's right. It actually works a lot faster than that, rather than putting this in, because one, due to the fact of the shotgun shells, as you see, this actually caused a problem. But you rack back the system like so, it takes away that problem. And then it forces the said next shell in. Though, let me show you all a little bit better when I'm putting in this other mag. Though, apparently these 10-round mags, these do not want to fit in sometimes. Yeah, see, 10-round magazines are a pain in the ass to push in compared to the 5-round mag. Don't worry, there were no shells in that. Let me just prove it. Dry fire, that's all we need. So yeah, these were weird shotguns. And the weird thing is, the Russian military wanted a shotgun, seeing of how, well, Western Europe and as well the rest of the United States was also developing their own variations on semi-automatic shotguns. And they thought, hey, you know what? Let's make our own. And they came up with this monstrosity. But yeah, they never exactly fully went into the 10-round magazine department. Because apparently these things were problematic more than the 5 rounds. Let me just remove the shotgun shells from this, because one, I know a lot of y'all are probably worried, oh, Jabbar, be careful, you don't want to end up shooting somebody in this. Well, yeah. But this is actually gives me another way to show y'all on how to reload the mags. Now, many people don't know how to operate or reload these magazines. What you actually got to do is take your shotgun shell, and in doing so, this is something I learned on hand. You push it down, and you got to put it in a certain area, like right near its trunnion, and push it in. Then you hold down the said shell, and then you put in the next one. And that's how it works. Now, the reason why the said Soviets wanted to design their own shotgun, as I said, was in order to, well, deal with the said United States and the rest of the Western Allies. So, why design it? Well, one, they wanted it to be in a competition test. Well, originally, the Saiga was not meant for military. It was actually meant for police units. In fact, the Russians thought, you know what? We see these countries using shotguns for their police force. Maybe we should use that with ours. And guess what? They started to do that. In fact, even China copied from them, and so did apparently North Korea's, I think. From what I can tell from images somewhere on the internet, and you can tell that these look like Saigas, but they're not Saigas. But one major problem about the Saiga 12 is the sight system. Here is how big the sight system is. And just aiming down the said sight, it's yeah, I am looking like for example, right, like for me, I'm looking like right dead center to the center part of my shield with this. But y'all would actually see me probably having that a little lower than where it is. In other words, it looks like it's hitting here. That's actually how this is. Because one, it's like almost like about an inch, like pretty much the size of my thumb of how much length you gotta cover with that. And no, this thing may have a... Now, I've actually seen Chris Gunn images on the internet, and not from Brian Harris channel, but actually on the internet. Somebody took a Saiga 12. What they did is they cut off the barrel and as well removed the stock. That is probably the most dumbest idea they ever did, and it looked ugly as hell. Now, you can also use drum mags with this, but I really wouldn't recommend doing that because, one, the drum magazine does not like to work with these things, which is kind of weird. But, now, if you ask me, the regular fire round mags look a lot more badass looking, but still. Dry fire and all that. So, why did the Russian military design this? Well, as I said, for the police force. In fact, only a couple of Russian soldier police units actually do use these. The military, on their hand, not so much unless they were breaching and clearing. That's it. And the problem is, they didn't want to use these this much. And the weird thing is, these are now also in the hands of the Chinese police military system, which means it's kind of a little screwed up story. But the weird thing is, Russians didn't want them. Especially the Russian military didn't want it. The Russian police don't want it. So much so that they actually go back to using pump-action importation Mossbergs rather than this. And the weird thing is, this thing is a shotgun variation of the AK. What do I mean by that? Simple. Just like an AK-47, you got, well, pretty much remove, the stupid slide system. This one's a little different because, one, it has a button on top that I gotta push in. And this is where it kind of gets a little horrifying and hard. Because, one, we have our said shroud removed, and just like an AK-47. So, yeah, not much difference in news. The only difference is, there is this top piece here to keep from backblast. So, this is kind of an added safety feature they felt. So, kind of a good idea, kind of a scary idea. Because, one, I'm kind of afraid if this thing does backblast on me, I'm gonna die. But while firing this thing, I felt little to no... I just felt like some recoil with buckshot. With birdshot, pretty much nothing. That's birdshot for you. But, do I think this is a good gun? Hell yes. Do I recommend this shotgun? I somewhat do, somewhat don't, depending on who's wanting to buy them. But now there are many people that say, oh, Timbar, would this be perfect for home defense? Yes, and also no, because one, this thing's kind of scary when I hold it. I don't know why, it's kind of weird, but apparently I don't want to rely on a magazine-fed shotgun knowing to the fact if someone's got around the corner and need to put more rounds in the chamber, guess what? I'm going to have to pretty much get ready for him. So in other words, what if my gun's out of ammo? This is kind of why I don't like semi-autos much. Because after the knockoff Benelli, that's saying something. But yeah. But the history about this gun is that it has been used by mostly just the police force in Russia, Ukraine, as well as even parts of Belarus and all of Eastern Europe. Pretty much anywhere that was part of the Warsaw Pact and such, or during the time of the Cold War on the Soviet side. And as such, even in China and as well as North Korea. Which is kind of weird, because one, apparently none of these things ever saw Vietnam. The Chinese copy, though, did. Like this. And they only saw North Vietnam, not South Vietnam. Even when Vietnam was reunited, most of these things were in surplus condition in Vietnamese holding warehouses, which means these things never even saw hardly any warfare, which is kind of weird. Now, I don't know if it was either the Russians that got a major head start on these, or if it was the United States that got them a head start on the magazine, but Russia, you kind of fucked up with the magazine idea option. Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm not a big fan of most magazine shotguns, but this one I do like because it worked perfectly compared to our Beretta copy knockoff. Anyways, but yeah, because there's only at least 3 magazine shotguns I know about, which is this, the Saiga 12. The secondly would be the AA-12, and one of my chief favorites, the USAS 12. That one works flawlessly compared to, and looks better than some other shotguns. Sadly though, it's very hard to import them into the United States. And one major thing that's also weird about the Chinese knockoff variant, my cousin said that it's very scary, that he feels as though, like he says, this thing is made in China, he feels like it's gonna blow up in his face. Comparing to the fact that the Type 56 was a Chinese AK and he likes that apparently and doesn't realize it, is kind of funny. But do I recommend this? Hell yes. Do I recommend it for skeet shooting, like birds, or as well buck hunting? Hell yeah. You can do that if you want. It's just, you gotta get a hold on how well you gotta aim it properly. Otherwise, you're gonna actually be either hitting the target too low or too high. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, like and subscribe for more. If any of y'all have any ideas on any firearm in history we should be talking about, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to take a look at them as soon as possible. Anyways, guys, I've been Celtic Templar, and this is, well, another history on firearms. Anyways, guys, hope to see y'all in the next one. Have a great day.